Namaskar. Very good afternoon. Dear learners, I, Dr. Renu Tomo, welcome you to CC Live Lectures. Dear friends, today the topic which I have chosen as to talk about is participatory management and empowerment of teachers. As far as participatory management is concerned, all of us know that participatory management is not a new word, but now it has become a key word. As far as job satisfaction of the personnel is concerned, the people who are involved in the organization is concerned, and it is also very important from the point of view of increasing the productivity of the individuals who are involved as far as working for the organization is concerned. Today we shall be talking about that how participatory management influences teachers and why and how does teachers feel empowered because of the participatory management being practiced in the organization. Friends, first of all, let us try to understand what participatory management is and how is it different from the other kind of management. As we know that there is autocratic kind of management also, there is laissez-faire kind of management also, and the participatory management, particularly in the academic organization, has been rated as one of the best. The reason being that in academic organization, the people who are involved are already the educated people and they are working for the satisfaction rather than working for the bread and butter, because they are not from the labor classes. Friends, when we talk about participatory management, that doesn't mean that as a leader, as an educational administrator, as a principal of the school or as an HOD of the department, we need to hand over the whole power, whole decision making authority to the teachers or the people who are working with us. Rather, it means that to make them feel empowered, they should be having the say in the decision making. So, leadership in this kind of administration or the management is where the people do have say, and that say make them feel empowered. So, just to define what participatory management is, it's a practice of empowering members of a group, such as here when we are talking about employee of the academic organization, of course here we are talking about the teachers as well as the non-teaching staff who are engaged in functioning of that organization. Or if we talk about a country, because ours is a democratic country, when we talk about democracy, that means the citizen of our country are having a say as far as policy framing is concerned. They are participating in organizational decision making. How are they doing it? They are doing it by having a say. Let's take example of the various kind of survey which goes on from the government side. Why does government needs to do survey? The government needs to do survey so that the people who are involved, who are being impacted by those decisions, their viewpoint, their understanding should be taken into consideration so that the decision making which is done for them, that benefits them to the maximum. Apart from that, it is also required that the people who are working at the grassroots level, they are also taken into consideration so that they don't feel neglected and they passionately work to implement the policies or the decisions which are taken by the senior people who are working at the center of the policy framing. So friends, if we talk about participatory management, it's very much important for us to understand that it is not an alternative method as far as the other kind of decision making is concerned, but it is different from the point of view that it is not traditional vertical management structure. Rather, here the people are made to feel interested in the expectations which they have from the decision makers. They are interested in having the recognition or belief in the decision making, because their efforts or their opinion matters a lot. Now let us talk about from the research point of view, from the historical perspective, that when did this particular approach came to the management and how it was introduced. To introduce that, we have to cite the example from Hawthorne experiments. If you remember and recall that Hawthorne experiments were based upon the experiments which were conducted for years in 1920s as to understand that which is the best managerial principle, so to have the effective implementation of the work and to have the maximum output from the staff or the people who are involved. Here in Hawthorne experiments, they were workers. Friends, here in participatory management, the group leader still retains the final decision making authority, but when the participatory management is practiced, the people do have the say, and there is brainstorming also which is happening in the organization, in the workplace, the which is usually called as the democratic management also. There the people do have the say in the decision making, and they also have the say in what is best for themselves. In 1990s, participatory management was revived in a different form, which is different from what was done in the Hawthorne effect or in the companies or the worker class, which was taken into consideration in Hawthorne effect. In 1990s, participatory management was revived through advocacy of organizational learning practices, particularly by clients and students. This was done by Peter Senge. So, participatory management emphasizes on the employee development, one. Secondly, participatory group is something more than putting individuals in the group, rather making the individuals come out with their opinions, and that opinions is not personal, that opinion is usually professional. So, that is something as a leader we can have in the organization, that whatsoever the individual is saying in the working of that organization, that individual has to say it professionally based upon the facts, experiences, or the papers or the data sheets. So, that can be done. So, individual's skill will be taken into consideration, individual's experiences will be taken into consideration, and their learning will also be taken into consideration. And it is a well known fact that till the person feels, the individual in an organization feels involved in the decision making, learning for their personal and professional growth, and interested in the job, the output on that job is maximum, because participation is not independent of mental involvement of the individual. It is not just the physical presence, rather here the person is involved, and of course involved both mentally and physically. Physically, why? Because the person whoever is taking decision, that person is the one who is going to act upon that also. So, this is something which we need to understand as far as participatory management is concerned. Participatory management as a style of management is characterized by the style under which the manager has complete trust in one's own subordinates. And friends, as we know that particularly in the academic organization, trust, working in the group, decision making based upon participatory management, that gives the best results, because in the academic organization, not even academic leader can have the information and knowledge of everything. So, he or she has to depend upon the others to get the information, to get the work done, and to get the inputs also. So, participative management is the best management as far as academic organization is concerned, and it is not something which is in air. In fact, it is factual. It has been practiced by very many researchers. It is being practiced in many organizations, and that has yielded the positive results also. If we have a look at the kind of researches which have taken up as far as participative management is concerned, that pioneer in this area was Frederick Taylor, an engineer in the late 1800s. In fact, he is also known as father of scientific management. When we have a look at the work of Taylor, we understand that Taylor's approach was to improve the efficiency of the job by designing the one best way. So, Taylor's philosophy of management was influenced by four basic principles. First, develop the efficient job. Second, decrease soldering, that means dependency. Soldering is a word which has been taken from the horseplay, and third was good mental attitude towards work, and fourth was work management cooperation. So as you can see that the third and the fourth aspect of Taylor's philosophy of management, that is good mental attitude towards work and work management cooperation, they are based upon the satisfaction of the individual. They are based upon the keeping the people interested in that organization. They are also based upon keeping the person interested in the work which is being given to that person. So how would that be created by any academic leader? Only that can only be created if the people are involved. They will cooperate with the other to yield a positive result if they feel that the results which they are aiming at, they are their own, they have personal interest in that work only, then that will ensure the not just completion of that work, but the work would be done efficiently and more effectively if the people will feel involved. So the most important thing when we understand as far as the scientific management is concerned, we understand that the keeping people involved, deciding and dividing the work profile, and having the lesser of soldering, they are the basic principle as far as the Taylor approach of scientific management is concerned, and that did have component of the participatory management. When we go further from the Taylor, we understand that the scientific management did have contribution from the Frank and his wife Lillian Gilbreth. Even Harry Grant and Harrington Emerson have also contributed towards it. If we understand Fayol's contribution, they can be characterized in the four areas. One, distinction between operating and managing activities. Here the difference may seem very obvious today, but of course in the 19th century the distinction was rarely made. Now if we take example from the academic organization, here the operating is something which happens in the class, and managing is something which is being managed by the teacher, like preparing the teacher's lesson plan, organizing activities for the students. So these are the activities, but in the academic organization we have to understand that here operating and managing activities both are very closely, intricately involved and included, and they can only be successful if the individual feels at the same page at which the management or the managers are. Because here when we talk about operation, the teachers are not operating in vacuum, the teachers are operating with students, they are molding the life of students, and because they are involved in molding the life of students, so they have to be involved more closely as far as the management of that function is concerned. Now if we take example of that how and where the teachers want involvement or participation, there have been multiple researches which have been done as far as the participation of teachers is concerned, and usually the variables which have been chosen by the people or the variables on which the teacher wants participation is like preparation of timetable, deciding the curriculum, being involved in the co-curricular activities, not just as implementer but also for designing them. Also the teachers want their involvement in the output which is received from the students. That is also something which teachers want. So on those variables, the studies have proven that if the teachers are just asked to go for the work, that means they are dictated, then naturally their output is comparatively lesser, and that organization doesn't stand for very long. In fact, it has been seen through researches that in the organization where there are no democratic principles, there is no participatory management, rather there is dictatorial kind of administration, the autocratic management is there. In those organizations, it has been viewed that the teachers tend to feel dissatisfied and they work only for salary, they don't work because they enjoy the work, and the result is, because here the work is dealing with the students, if they don't enjoy their work, the output will not be as effective and as efficient as it is expected to be. And slowly and steadily, either that organization has to change itself completely or that organization dies. So, it is very important that the individuals are involved. Now, to coming back to what Fayol has done, the second aspect which he talked about or which he did in the scientific management was to identify specific management functions. So, expanding to his original theory, Fayol gives us the classical 5 functions of management, which we generally called as post-Cobb also later on, which we have filtered into 7 as well. So, planning, he said, planning is very important, organizing is very important, supervising is very important, coordinating is very important, controlling is very important. These have been further proposed into the 14 principles of management, which Fayol intended to help managers in solving various management related problems. Now, let us have a look that how in these functions, that is planning, organizing, supervising, coordinating and controlling, can the teacher have the say. Teacher can definitely have the say as far as planning is concerned, as I cited few researches also, and I said that when in the curriculum planning, in deciding the timetable, if the teachers are not involved, they feel very dissatisfied, and this has been proven by very many researches. So, at planning, the teachers should be involved. Grassroots level players, that is the teachers, they should be involved. If they are involved, then naturally, one, we would have the real output expectations in front of us as objectives of the plans. Secondly, we would be able to have the maximum results from those plans. Second is organizing. When organizing is done, then naturally, because it is being done for the students and at the students, and who is going to do it? Of course, the teachers. So, here, because organizing in academic organization is student oriented, learner oriented. It is not the methodology or learning oriented, rather it is learner oriented, and because it is learner oriented, so that makes teachers of core importance to the work which is involved, that is influencing the student, influencing the learning behavior of the student, getting the maximum, the best learning behavior from the students. So, that is being done by the teachers only. So, naturally the teachers have to be involved. Now, when we talk about supervising, supervising is generally a function which key managers keep to themselves. They like to supervise very closely, and it has been done in academic organization. So, one example for that is having cameras in the class. Why do we have cameras in the class? So that the principal can supervise the working of the teachers, can supervise how the lesson plan is being delivered, how the students are responding to the teachers. I wouldn't say that supervision is wrong, but while supervising, the fact is that the person who is supervising, that is the leader, the academic manager, he or she should keep in mind that he or she is supervising the human component. That is, the machine work is not going on. The teachers are not the workers, they are working on the students. So, keeping that in view, the supervision should go on. Supervision should keep in view not just the points which are academic, see what kind of answers is being given by the students, are the students learning, is the learning behavior being coordinated well by the teacher. These are the key points, but apart from that, how the students are feeling comfortable with the teacher. Is the teacher during her class impacting their moral behavior as well? Is the teacher influencing the students, or the classroom learning is such that everybody is learning things which are not just academic but also other things, because it has been seen that the academic learning does play an important role. I wouldn't say that academic learning doesn't play an important role, it does play an important role, but there are other aspects which are of more importance in life. And where do the students learn that? That students learn in their peer group. And how can teacher help that? Teacher can help that by providing them different kind of roles in the class. So if the role play is going on, the students are made to enjoy, the students are giving leadership roles, management role, even on those points also the supervision has to be done, and those points can only come if they can only be supervised if the supervision plan is being decided by both teacher and principal together. How can that be done? Then of course, while supervising whatever core element the principal intend to supervise, he or she should ask the concerned teachers that what are the points at which they should be supervised. That will create the trust of the teachers, and if the trust is there, then naturally the teacher will be giving the best in the class. They will be, in fact, they will realize and appreciate the fact that they are being observed positively by the principal. They are not being supervised for negativity, they are being supervised for some kind of a learner by the academic leader, because academic leader is also behaving as one of the group, but of course in the leadership role. Another important aspect which is coordinating. Now when coordinating is concerned, coordinating should be mutual, but it shouldn't be left completely to the teachers to coordinate, because if it is done then naturally lesser control may leads to more problems also. So coordinating should be there, but that also needs to be controlled from outside as well as of course from the internal control. Another feature which FAOL has talked about is controlling. Now how the teacher should be controlled by the academic manager. Academic manager should be controlling teachers of course from outside as well as inside. Controlling from outside, what does that mean? Controlling from outside means that there are certain parameters decided on which everybody is controlled. When we talk about ACR, that is annual confidential report, what is that? That is generally to assess how the teacher has worked throughout the year. When we have a look at the percentage of students who have passed, or how the students have done in that particular subject which is being taken by the teacher, what is that? That assessment is also a way to control. So controlling is something which will stay, but one, it should be structured. Second, it should be not just from outside, it should be from inside also. And how it can be inside? It can be inside if we understand that may it be the assessment of the academic activities which is going on in the class, or may it be the assessment of the teacher based upon how they are working. All that would be done by the concerned principal after having built trust in them, trust of the fact that the principal is doing it not to negatively control them, rather to motivate them. So controlling should be looked at by the academic manager as a motivating principle. It should be looked at as a principle to influence the student, influence the teachers positively. If the teachers are influenced positively, then naturally they are going to influence the students also positively. Finally, FAOL urges that managers be educated in the correct way of proper managerial skills. What does that mean? That means that the FAOL gave more importance to the management rather than on the work. He said that the job is important, training on the job is important, but managing the job is also important, and for that the training should be there. In fact, as he has studied, as he has given through his researches, that the person who is trained at the managerial skill, he or she is able to perform well as a leader, and is able to make the people perform well whom he or she is supervising or managing. When we talk about participatory management, then we would say that the three individuals need to be named and talked about whenever we talk about the management. One is Elton Mayo, then we have the Burnett, Chester Burnett, and Douglas McGregor. All these three, when we talk about them, we understand that they try to understand the management as management of people. They were more concerned about managing the people rather than managing the work. So, work was not at the center, rather social environment was centered. If we have a look at how Elton Mayo has viewed, then we would say that the Elton Mayo has more centered his approach through his study in social environment. He was more concerned about social environment, creating the social environment, maintaining the social environment, and getting the best variables from the social environment. That was at the center of Elton Mayo. When we talk about Bernard, Bernard maintained that the people from organizations, in order to achieve certain goals, they cannot achieve alone. They have to come together, and organization can only be productive if the goal of the organization and the goal of the employees are balanced. If they are on the same page, that is, employee and the organization are on the same page, then there wouldn't be any kind of issue related to communication, motivation, or setting objectives. In fact, it is grounded in the humanist tradition and traces its lineage to Mayo's Hawthorne studies also of 1920s and 30s. It's an important aspect of which is involved in employee coordination of working condition. Work is an integral component of Maslow's self-actualization theory also. So, as we understand that most of the people, most of the researchers, may it be from the psychology background, or may it be from the management background, or may it be from the anthropology or sociology background, they have talked about the people being at the center rather than work being at the center. And they have said that it has been stated again and again that even if work is at the center, then naturally work has to be maintained so well that the people also feel interested in it. Friends, we will be continuing with the same discussion in my next part of the series of lecture on participatory management and empowerment of teachers. On this note, Dr. Renu Tomar is signing off. Namaskar, Jai Hind, very good afternoon, be safe and take care of your health.